people? LP2000 right back at you with another video. Yes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews on behalf of Collect All Monsters. And I'm back again with another great, awesome, spectacular X Plus figure review. Yes. Oh my God, he is awesome. He is beautiful. I am talking about the one and the only first ever giant flying monster, courtesy of Toho Studios, the one and the only Rodan. And today we're taking a look at the X Plus 30 centimeter Favorite Sculptors Line Ric Exclusive edition of the 1956 Rodan. Best of his iconic appearance in his iconic debut film, Rodan the Flying Monster, also known just as Die Kaiju Rodan. As you can see, I have the beautiful figure here in all his glory. Yes. He is an awesome figure. And this is like the second release, the second official figure release of 2021. And if you recall my video of the 30 centimeter Mega Line, and you know that figure was an awesome piece. And so to have this figure to come in behind it, X Plus is starting out on a great note in 2021. Yes. So you know, I'm going to do things around here. Let's get up close and personal with the box before we get into the awesome figure of Rodan here. And since this figure is a big figure, you know what? Let me get that out the way right now. Let's just measure how big Rodan is, and then I'll show you what the box looks like. All right. From tip of his wing to the other tip of his wing, he's at 20 inches wide. And height-wise, he is a whopping 15 inches tall. So you can imagine what the box looks like. But here's what the box looks like. With the brilliant artwork of Rodan on the front, you know, Favorite Sculptors Line, the yellow sticker signifying that this is a Ric, you know, the logo of the film, title logo of the film, Rodan in the upper left-hand corner. You know, such an awesome box. You know, such awesome artwork on the boxes. And I mentioned that many times before. Between the original 30 centimeters, the Sakai's, and especially the Favorite Sculptors Lines, they do great artwork when it comes to the boxes of the figures. And Rodan is definitely no exception. But this box is a big box. Why? Which is the reason why I don't have it here alongside Rodan, because it will take up pretty much 90% of the shot, right? But the box itself is a whopping 22 inches wide and 18 inches tall. So yeah, that's the reason why the box is not here. But the box is great. As you saw, the box is awesome. The artwork on the box is awesome. So if you're looking to get this figure, you're going to spend a lot in shipping somewhat to get it over here from Japan. More on that later. And now, let me talk about the backstory involving how we got to this figure, ladies and gentlemen. Now, last year, I want to say late March or April in 2020, shortly after the pandemic just crippled the world, quite frankly. And it forced X Plus to do these online events, right? Because obviously they couldn't do in-person events anymore due to the pandemic. So they had a spring online event, and they showcased a few new products there. And they showcased an unpainted prototype version of this figure, which got a lot of people excited, you know what I mean? Fast forward to September 2020, and the figure came up for pre-order, and we saw it painted in all its glory, and we got a good look at what the Ric feature is. The Ric feature comes with a volcanic base for Rodan to stand on top of, and the standard just comes with just an ordinary black base. Now, mind you, both the Ric and standard of this figure needs the base. More on that later. Then it got into figure collectors' hands, I want to say maybe the second or third week in January of 2021. Like I mentioned, it came basically at the same time as the 30 centimeter Mega Line that I got finished reviewing a couple weeks ago. So X Plus is already starting off on a great note in my opinion, because the Mega Line was awesome, and this figure is awesome, and it makes me look forward to what else may be coming down the pipeline, or what else X Plus have in store for us lucky collectors for the rest of 2021. And that's pretty much it with the backstory involving this figure, and I love it. Now, full disclaimer, ladies and gentlemen, I have never really been a big fan of the original version of Rodan. My favorite version of Rodan is really the 64. Now, I know he's goofy looking. I know he's not too menacing as he was in the original film, or if you want to count the recent King of the Monsters film, 2019, he looks very menacing there. So I gravitated more towards the 64. That's my favorite version of Rodan. So I was never really a big fan of this version. Don't get me wrong, I love the movie. I love the original Rodan. It is an awesome movie. You know, it's a dark, more so of a horror movie in certain respects. But as a kaiju movie from beginning to end, I enjoy that movie. But in terms of design, I wasn't really a big fan of it. Now, I did get my hands along the way with the I got my hands on the X Plus 25 centimeter version of Rodan. And that made me kind of warm up to the idea that I need more Rodans, at least this version of Rodan in my collection. So when they announced this, I was like, I'm getting it no matter what. Now, at first, I was going to get the standard, right? That comes with just the ordinary black base, right? But I was able to talk to a friend of mine, Jason Wells from Awesome Collector. Huge shout out and thank you to him for helping me get this figure. And I actually switched over from the standard to Ric, and in my opinion, if you're gonna get this figure, go for the Ric because this base is awesome. More on that later. So that's pretty much it with how I got this figure, and it is an awesome figure. Yes, it is. And once again, it is such a big figure, it really is. So when you get the payment invoice for the shipping, he's gonna be up there in price as far as like shipping. But once you get through all that, once you get the figure in your hands, you will have yourself a great grab. Trust me when I say that. Now, before we get up close and personal with the sculpt of the figure, let's talk about the base. Now, the base came in two pieces, right? The base comes with just the volcanic base. Basically the volcano that basically killed the Rodans in the original film. That's what I'm thinking, right? And it's highly detailed with the lava streams going in almost every direction, you know, whatever. And it comes with also a nameplate of Rodan, or at least the title of the film, the Flying Monster or the Monster of the Sky, Rodan, and you insert that into the front of the base here. Now, what's so cool about this version of Rodan? Now, X Plus has obviously been listening to us fans because we all know if you're an X Plus collector and if you're an X Plus collector of Rodan figures, you know, with the exception of the Fire Rodan 30 centimeter, pretty much every single Rodan has an issue of toppling over, especially when he's standing more upright like this, right? So X Plus really has taken notice of those issues involving the other standard versions of Rodan, and they actually had this base made specifically for Rodan to stand on top of. Now it comes with pegs, and you insert the pegs into two holes in both of Rodan's feet, and that keeps him from toppling over, which is awesome. And as I mentioned earlier, I haven't seen the standard base yet, so I would assume that the standard's gonna come with pegs in that base too. So basically, you need this stand for Rodan to be vertically stable. You know what I mean? Now, if you take Rodan off of the base, he can't really stand on his feet because his wings are curved too low to the ground, where it kind of suspends the figure up in midair. You know, his feet are not touching the ground. That's what I'm saying. So you really need this base, or the base of the Ric, or the base of the standard, to have this figure firmly in place. You know what I mean? And if that's what X Plus needed to do to make sure he doesn't come toppling over, I applaud them for doing that. How many times, especially if you own the 64 Rodan, where it's the 30 centimeter or 25, you know, whatever, or the 25 centimeter 56 Rodan, how many times have you came up to your room or came to where Rodan was, you see him toppling over or falling on top of another Kaiju figure, you know, and seen him all scuffed up because he has fallen down or fell down numerous times, right? But you ain't got to worry about that with this version of Rodan here. And I hope they do that moving forward with other Rodans that they choose to bring out if they have them in a standing position like this. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Fire Rodan, he's in a flying position, so it doesn't really apply to a figure like that because he is in a flying position. But they're going to be doing more so of Rodan standing up like this, like the 64, like the 25 centimeter 56, you know, whatever. If they go more to these methods to ensure that he is virtually stable on your shelf, I think it's a great thing. So kudos to S Plus making that happen. Now, the sculpt was based off a size okay sculpt. That's why it's in the Favorite Sculptors line. Now, mind you, S Plus has contracted with a size okay sculpts before. The Favorite Sculptors line Rodan is in a size okay kit, right? The Mysterians Mogera, the 1957 Mogera 30 centimeter that came out last year, I believe, like January of last year, that's an a size okay kit. The Gamma 1965 Favorite Sculptors line, that's a size okay kit, right? Which is a stunning kit, mind you. Now, the kit first came out, I want to say, courtesy of a size okay or Kaiju Freaks, I want to say in 2006, and it also came with a building, because remember in the film of Rodan when he first makes landfall to attack the city of Sasebo or Fukuoka in the Japanese version, he is perched up on top of a building, right? Well, they made that into a kit, right? And that's what this sculpt is based off of, right? So it is a stunning sculpt. It is a stunning sculpt and a big sculpt, as a matter of fact. So basically the detail speaks for itself. The detail of Rodan is awesome with the various browns all over him. You know, the shading of brown, the highlights of the light browns or whatever. It is stunning. It is amazing. Now I would caution you that maybe his right wing is prone to be curved in a little bit, you know, and it has somewhat of a giant seam somewhat in the back of the figure. But I haven't had any issues with it like breaking off or whatever. But please be mindful of that once you take this figure out of the box. Just his wing right here, like toward the back, the seam is kind of like it's more prevalent here. But don't think it's going to snap off. Now, if you apply more pressure to it, at some point, I'm sure it will snap off. But I would probably say to remedy that, probably apply a little bit of super glue and just to impress the wing more so in place here, so that seam is not evident. But for me, I'm not going to do that because the figure is not going to be facing backwards to me, so I'm not going to really see the issue. But if something like that bothers you, where a seam like that bothers you, just apply a little bit of a small amount of super glue. Press it in place for like a few minutes, and then it should hold the wing in place. But so far, my wing is held in place anyway. Now, like I said, the various browns, the highlights of browns are awesome. You have the dark pupils underneath Rodan's eyes, hooded eyes, you know, whatever. And that's the thing about this Rodan. You never really get a good look at his face, at least prior to him attacking the city towards the middle of the film. But they got the face right, you know, with the teeth, you know, going towards the back of the mouth, you know, whatever. Like I mentioned, the eyes are hooded, and you have black pupils in the eyes. His horns have somewhat of a light beige. You know, the claws on his wings are pretty much like the same color as the rest of his body. You know, his toes pretty much like a light dirty brown. You know, whatever, as well as the toes on the back of his heels here. So from from wingtip to wingtip, from the top of his head to the bottom of his toes, this is a great version of Rodan. It really is. Once again, I was never really a big fan or too sold on the idea of having this Rodan in my collection. But after getting the 25cm version, and after seeing this version come out, or at least, you know, them announcing that they were going to do this version, and once I saw the painted prototype pictures of this figure late September of 2020 last year, I was on board. I was like, get me this Rodan, no matter what. So if you're a huge fan of this film or a huge fan of this design of Rodan, in my opinion, it's probably the best Rodan 56 that S Plus has ever done. I kind of wish that maybe they would have done more of a flying version of this version of Rodan, because I love that version of Rodan when he's flying, right? More so of him flying than him standing like this. But still, even though I'm not a big fan of this design per se, I am a huge fan of this figure, and S Plus has done a phenomenal job with, you know, getting the sculpt from a size okay, painting it, building it, or whatever, giving us this awesome Ric Exclusive edition of the volcanic base here, and you have a great figure. Once again, if you thought Megalon was great, you have another figure alongside him that came out pretty much at the same time with the X Plus 30cm Favorite Sculptors Line 1956 version of Rodan. So that's pretty much it. What I want to show you up close and personal with the big bird here. You know, this is such an awesome figure. So let's do a couple size comparisons before we get up out of here. And you know what? I mentioned the 25cm X Plus Rodan earlier. So let's bring up that figure right now. Let's compare the two X Plus versions of the 1956 Rodan with the 25cm up against the Favorite Sculptors Line 30cm version. So let's do that first size comparison between the two Rodans right now. Okay, folks, here we are with the first size comparison alongside the Favorite Sculptors Line 30cm Rodan 1956 Ric Exclusive edition. I have his 25cm counterpart, also a Ric Exclusive figure of the 1956 Rodan, and as you can see, they look so well together. Now, mind you, the 25cm version of Rodan, this figure was first released way back in 2012, and it came with a mini small version of the Mega New Run as the Ric feature for that figure. Now, mind you, this figure in particular that I have here, it was reissued in June of 2018. And instead of bringing back the Mega New Run as a Ric feature for this figure, they brought out a small mini flying version of Rodan for this figure. Looks really awesome. And as I mentioned earlier, I kind of wish we would have got that in some way, shape, or form in a larger scale. Even though I do love this new figure of the Favorite Sculptors Line Rodan, but in terms of design, I love him more when he's flying. More so of him flying than he is standing, right? Because as you can see here, they've done a phenomenal job with this mini version of the flying Rodan 56. But as you can see, all three Rodans look well together. And even though the 25cm and the Favorite Sculptors Line 30cm are in different scales, they do look well together. And this is a telling shot that, you know, finally Rodan is reunited with his mate. and didn't have to worry about being separated by a volcano that ended up killing both of them, quite frankly. But still, this is such a great image of seeing both Rodans, you know, from X Plus, one in 25cm scale, the other in the Favorite Sculptors Line scale. And I hope they're not done with the Rodan 56. Once again, was never really a big fan of this design, but these two figures have made me a great fan of this design, as well as the actual movie. So that's pretty much it with the first size comparison with all the Rodans from 1956 that I have in my collection. So let's do one more size comparison. I'm going to bring up a couple of other Toho monsters in their original incarnations from the original film, and let's see how they stack up with the original version of Rodan. So let's go with that final size comparison right now. Okay, folks, this is the last size comparison, and alongside the X Plus 30cm Favorite Sculptors Line Rodan 1956. And since, as I mentioned earlier, this version of Rodan is from his iconic debut appearance, I decided to bring up two other figures of Kaiju making their iconic debut appearance with the X Plus 30cm larval form of the 1961 Mothra, as well as the King of Monsters himself, the 30cm 1954 Wonderfest Ric Exclusive edition of the 1954 Godzilla. And as you can see here, they look well together. All these iconic beasts of their iconic debut appearance looks great in this setup here. Now, mind you, this is for a fantasy type of booking when it comes to putting it on your shelves or whatever. Because mind you, these figures, these incarnations of Mothra, Rodan, and Godzilla never appeared together in a film. Of course, they will appear together in 1964's Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, but they were all different looking versions of these beasts here. But it's nice to see, you know, what the original versions of Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan would look like when you put them all together. And as you can see here, they look well together. So if you have this Rodan and you want to pair them up with a couple other Kaiju to put them on your shelf to create a great setup, get your 1961 Mothra, get your 1954 Godzilla, all of them 30cm, and you have yourself a great trio setup of the iconic debut monster forms of Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra. Yes. So that's pretty much it with all the size comparison I want to put into this video. As you can see with the 25cm Rodan, with Godzilla here and Mothra here, you got some great setup potential with this Favorite Sculptors Line version of the 56 Rodan. So hopefully I can supply you with some great ideas here. So without further ado, let's go to my final commentary portion of the video involving the Favorite Sculptors Line 1956 Rodan. So let's do that right now. Okay, folks, I'm back with my final thoughts at the X Plus Favorite Sculptors Line 30cm version of the 1956 Rodan Ric Exclusive Edition. Once again, 10 out of 10. This is such a great figure. Aside from the wing issue that I talked about earlier, there's really nothing wrong with this figure. So please be mindful of the wing issue, as I mentioned earlier, towards the back end of the figure, you know, whatever. Just be careful how you handle this, because you don't want to break any wings, you know, whatever. But there is a seam that's prevalent on the back of the figure, so I want to make you aware of that. But aside from that, this is such an awesome figure. From wingtip to wingtip, the head, the coloring, just everything. The volcanic Ric Exclusive base here, it's amazing. The fact that X Plus took the initiative of making him more stable by inserting pegs onto the base, so you can put Rodan on top of the pegs to make it more stable. I think that was a great thing, and a great step in the right direction if they choose to make more Rodan figures in the future, and I think they will. But for the time being, this is such a great figure. If you're a huge fan of this film, if you're a huge fan of this design of Rodan, in my opinion, this is the best version that S Plus has ever done. Nothing against the 25cm version, but this one, in my opinion, blows it out the water on so many levels, and it's an awesome figure. And if you're locked in for a pre-order for it, you'll be in hog heaven once he swoops in to your doorstep. Trust me when I say that. Now, before I get up out of here, I do want to talk about the film just a little bit. Now, mind you, as I mentioned earlier, I love this film. I love this film, the 1956 Rodan. Gojira 851, my great friend Matt Jacobson, told me, or asked me one time, do I consider this more so of a horror film? In a way, it kind of is. It's a horror film, it's a kaiju film, it's somewhat of a dramatic film. It's all these genres kind of rolled up into one, which is something that you don't think about when you think about Japanese monster film. But Rodan really encompasses all those great things, right? It is all those things, and it's a great film on top of it, you know. But there are three things that are most shocking when it comes to this film. Now, mind you, most sci-fi films, or most kaiju films, or most Japanese kaiju films are pretty much straightforward. But this film offers a little bit of twists and turns here and there, and the three most shocking things involved in this film are these right here, which I will tell you. Now, mind you, I'm going into spoiler territory, so if you have not seen Rodan 1956, pause the video, then come back. But if not, I'm going to spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Now, for me personally, the first shocking thing about this film is the fact that, when those meganeuron beasts, are basically attacking and killing and hacking people to death in the mining village. And then come to find out, these big monsters, these big worm monsters. And you notice that these monsters do not have anything in common with Rodan, right, in terms of physical appearance. So you're probably thinking that this one monster that's going around killing people, maybe it's going to grow up and become Rodan, maybe it's going to sprout wings to become Rodan. But in a shocking twist, you find out that actually these meganeuron beasts are actually food for Rodan. When Rodan hatches out of his shell, he ends up eating all these smaller beasts. Yes, the smaller beasts that are killing, hacking people to death are the monster's food. So that right there is kind of a shocking twist. In a way, it kind of gives you a monster movie, a different monster movie before the real villain or the real monster shows up. So I thought that was clever on Toho's part to do that. Number 2, the shocking revelation that there are actually not one, but 2 Rodans in this movie. Now, mind you, the Japanese version, in my opinion, did it better, even though I favor the American version. Now, in the American version, when Rodan is first fully revealed, when the protagonist and the characters in the film finally see Rodan from head to toe, they finally realize what's going on, what's the culprit of attacking planes and doing all this damage from the skies, right? And they finally get the physical image that is a giant flying prehistoric reptile. But in the American version, they see Rodan, he flies off, whatever. Then out of nowhere, another Rodan pops up in the same place that the first Rodan did, and he follows, or she follows after the original Rodan. Now, in the Japanese version, they come across Rodan, right? He flies off, then they follow him to a city where he attacks it, right? And as the military are bombing Rodan and trying to stop him from attacking the city, out of nowhere, the second Rodan comes in. So that's when the second Rodan is fully revealed. So it's more of a shocker in the Japanese version, but either way, it's a shocker either way when you realize there's not one, but there are 2 Rodans causing trouble, which I thought was a great shocking twist. And the third shocking twist was actually went towards the tail end, where you see both Rodans die in the fire, at least how the other Rodan ended up sacrificing itself so it could be with its mate during death, right? Now, of course, if you saw the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where they trap the Rodans inside of a volcano, and they decide to blow up the volcano to bury them alive, right? Which goes off without a hit somewhat. They blow up the volcano, and both Rodans try to escape, but one of them succumbs to the explosion and the gas, and he or she falls to right there in the middle of the volcano and gets consumed with the lava and the fire and everything, and starts burning to death, right? The other Rodan is still hovering above all this. So you're probably thinking that this Rodan is probably going to go off and save itself and probably return to attack Japan, another day, right? But instead, it chooses to go back down into the fire and die alongside its mate. So in this one film, you go from really rooting against the Rodans or hating the Rodans or wanting to see humanity kill the Rodans to all of a sudden being on the Rodan side, And that was really like a touching moment from a kaiju perspective. I never thought I would feel that way. Even as a kid, when I saw this film and I'm watching it from beginning to end, and I'm like, yeah, it's cool to see the Rodans, but they should really pay for what they have done to Japan. But when that moment comes and you see the other Rodan sacrifice itself to be with his mate, that's really a touching ending, And I didn't see that coming, which is something that's very highly unusual from a 1950s kaiju film. But this film really shows you that these films are not just straightforward kiddie or at least B-movie films. Some of them have great messages, some of them have great stories, and in this film in particular, it has a great ending, a touching ending that you never see coming. So that's one of the great things about this awesome movie of Rodan. So if you've not seen this movie, please go out your way and try and watch it. You will not be disappointed. Godzilla was a great debut film. Martha was a great debut film. And you can definitely add Rodan to that list of awesome debut films of great kaiju, courtesy of Toho Studios. Trust me when I say that. So that pretty much concludes my review of the X Plus 30cm Rodan 1956 Favorite Sculptors Line Ric Exclusive Edition, based on his iconic appearance and his iconic debut film, 1956's Rodan, also known as Rodan the Flying Monster of the Sky. If you have any questions, hide me down in the comment section. Hit me on Facebook via Les P. Chambers. We'll definitely go from there. Yes, once again, great figure. As I mentioned earlier, we got a great figure starting off on in 2021 with the awesome 1973 30cm Rodan, Megalon, and now we have Rodan coming up at the same exact time. Both awesome figures, both making their debut right here in 2021, and these are awesome figures to start off on in the year of 2021, when we know we got a new gigantic 54 coming, a few awesome Defo reels coming, Sarazawa, Gamma 96. They just announced Biollante, the 25 centimeter Fire Burning Godzilla 2019, the 25 centimeter 2002 Godzilla. There's so much going on as far as like X Plus for what we know thus far. And once again, they starting off the year right and awesome with Megalon, and especially with Rodan here for the Favorite Sculptors line. Trust me when I say that. Now, if you got this order, if you got this figure on lock for pre-order, you will not be disappointed. If you're a huge fan of this film, if you're a huge fan of this figure or design, you will not be disappointed. And in my opinion, if you're still on the fence about getting this guy, I would suggest go after the Ric, because this base is awesome. It is amazing. Don't get me wrong, the black base looks great too, but for me, from a cosmetic point of view, I think the Ric is better. But either way, you need the base from both the standard and the Ric for Rodan to be basically stable on your shelf. Otherwise, without it, he can't stand without it. You see what I'm saying? But it's still more of a stable way to keep him perched up on your shelf without having him toppling down, as have happened with previous Rodan outside of the Fire Rodan, right? But this is a great figure, and you will not be disappointed. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the X Plus 30 centimeter Favorite Sculptors Line Ric Exclusive edition of the 1956 Rodan, best of his iconic appearance in his iconic debut film, 1956 Rodan, also known as Rodan, the Flying Monster from the Sky. Yes, yes, yes. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see y'all again on the next Figure Move review. All right, y'all take it easy. Oh, there's one last thing I forgot to tell y'all. The next time you go outside and you look up at the sky and you see that air streak going across the sky, don't be alarmed. I'm sure that's just another airplane trying to make its way to its destination. Or could it be something else? I'm just saying.